Hello, everyone. This is Tiffany with Healthy Passions. If you do not know me, let me briefly introduce myself. I am a certified personal trainer, certified wellness coach, certified energy healer. By birth, I am an oracle prophetess and a natural healer. Today, we're going to do our first live. That I'm sorry I didn't go live last week. I had to go out of town and quickly return. So I am back, and we will have our lives for the 2026 year on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 3:30. I may have to change that time because it seems like everything starts happening at this house around 3:30 when I'm going live. So it's a very active time in my household, so it may be a little earlier. I'm not sure yet, but I will let you know. But if you're not familiar, on Wednesdays and Fridays, I do oracle reading questions for $5. To you may start to schedule those appointments at healthypassiontiff@gmail.com. Healthypassiontiff, Tiff, at gmail.com. And those are going to be $5 questions. The limit is two, so up to $10. And that's for Wednesdays and Fridays. The reason why I do that is because my prices do not change. I do not have sales. So for my 30-minute sessions for oracle reading is $65. For my hour is going to be $125. I do not go down on those or have sales for those because it takes a lot of energy from me. If I do more than three, I'm down for 2 days. So I have to charge for those. But I understand that the economy is not so great right now. So the Most High allowed me to do $5 questions. And I do that on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And just like every other service that I provide, you go to that email, tell me what you want to do and what you want to book. I'll contact you and we will book your services. I provide mostly everything online. There's some in persons for people that are local in my area, but for the most part, I do personal training online for fitness training. I do oracle readings online. I do energy healing. I like to do those more in person, but they can be online. But I think they're more effective, me personally, in person. But also I do wellness coaching. So if you have any questions about that, you may go to any of my social medias and check out my website and give you a description of everything that I do in detail, or just hit me up. You can hit me on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook. And just if you have a quick question and inquiry, let me know. I also do 30-minute consultations. They're complimentary to anyone just to see if I'm a good fit for you and if you're a good fit for me. But today's live is going to be pretty short. And I intended it that way because I needed to get some rest from when I was traveling. I'm still a little tired and recovering from that, but I still wanted to get the live out. So today's live is going to be maturing in my journey. And then it says, I call judgment on my enemies nightly. All right, if I'm looking to the left, that's where my notes are. But maturing in my journey, and then I call judgment on my enemies nightly. I remember earlier in my walk, I would feel kind of scared to call judgment on my enemies, even though they were doing outrageous things to me repeatedly and offensively over and over again. And I just wouldn't do it. I was too nice. I was too loving to do it. Not to say that I'm not nice and loving now. However, now that I understand spirituality and spiritual warfare a lot more, I understand the rules of the game. So now I know how to fight back if need be. That's not always my first choice. Most people just kind of go away on their own, but some people are relentless. Depending on what you're doing and what type of anointing you have, certain personalities are really relentless, and these are the people that I'm talking about. I wouldn't necessarily call this on just your average Joe. It would be someone who is kind of relentless in their attacks and they just won't stop, and they do it for long periods of time. Then usually that's when I call judgment. So in general, how this looks for my general enemies, right? So for me, that's going to be 83 in other nations. I'm a Hebrew Israelite. So when we speak of the other nations, we mean the other nations that were confederate against the people of the book and who came against them. So we're going to say general. That's going to be worldwide. That's going to be other nations. That's going to be groups against groups. So that's a general enemy, right? So for me, that's going to be 83 in the other nations worldwide. That would include immigrants that agree with the beast system in America, in other countries, right? To hold my people in low status and to steal our resources, right? All of the dark kingdoms, when it comes to fallen angels, demons, etc., things like that. So all of the dark kingdom and even human agents of the dark kingdom. I wanted to add that on there because humans take on that energy when they start to get into darker types of magic, right? And then traitors among my own people. So I wouldn't be naive to think that my own people would not necessarily betray or become traitors. All right. I call for judgment on them as well because I've always told you guys, especially here in 2026, now that the switch has happened, now that the energy has been raised on the planet, it's not about skin color or race, it's about energy. Right? Are they vibrating high or are they vibrating low? Are they vibrating positively or negatively? And that can come in any type of skin. So all skin folk are not necessarily kin folk, right? So that would include the ones in your own nation. So do not be naive to that. All right? Like I said, I'm not going to be on here long. I'm just going to push that on there. All right. So for my personal enemies, it looks a little different. All right, so for personal enemies, right? So that would be earthly bloodline foes. So people in your immediate family as well as your birth family, the family you were born into, your bloodline on both sides, right? Frenemies, co-workers, etc. So people that have access to you that you are around, all right? Those can also be enemies, all right? Y'all come on in. That could also be enemies. If you're not familiar with me, I have a YouTube channel. It's called Tiffany Talley Healthy Passions, the number 4, and then life. On there, I have about 3 years worth of videos about spiritual warfare when it comes to the workplace, when it comes to friends and family. I talk about that in depth. Right? So if you have any questions about that, you can go to my YouTube and check that out. I usually have it in a playlist. And I think that one would mostly be in what we call the Chosen One playlist. So that's some really good stuff. Whether you feel like you're a chosen one or not, it's some good information. All right. So we said earthly bloodline families on both sides. We said frenemies and coworkers. We spend a lot of time with those people, as well as we don't want to limit it to just those because it can also be lovers and strangers, people you just don't know who don't like you or whatever the case may be, right? Those can be enemies, whether you know it or not. All right. So how I call judgment on them nightly. I pray against them. I pray against my enemies, right? I used to did not do that because I felt like it was wrong to do. But the type of enemies that I have in particular are fairly dangerous. So it is necessary for me to pray against them, right? They come for your life. So in some cases, it's either them or me. And if I don't want to be eliminated, I want to make sure that I'm fighting spiritually against it. All right, so I pray against them. I ask that they fall into their own attempts to harm me. I ask that they are spiritually blinded, which is very important because you don't want people to have illegal access to you spiritually. A lot of people don't realize that my anointing is against witchcraft, dark magic, the dark kingdom, and demonic entities. So in that realm, a lot of times people gain illegal access to you by spiritually spying on you, whether that be with demonic entities, what we call monitoring spirits, or if it's a person who has a monitoring spirit inside them, or through scrying, like they can look through crystal balls, through divination, through tarot cards, whatever the case may be. It's illegal access to gain information to get the upper hand on you. So I always ask that they're spiritually blinded so that they cannot see my next move, so they can't see what I'm producing. And with that also too, you have to learn how to be quiet. Don't talk about what you got going on, especially the important things. Like if you're building something big, you're working on a project, don't talk about it a lot. You can mention it, but leave it at that. Don't give details. Don't trust too many people with that information until it comes into fruition. Not only till it comes into fruition, I'll go so far as to say to when it comes to fruition and doing well, then you can talk about it more. But people gain illegal access to us through astral projection into our homes and divination. Like I said, they can scry, mirror magic, teacup magic, moon magic. They do a lot of things to where they gain access to what you have going on. One of the less talked about but very common ones is access to your dreams. I call it dream walking. I'm sure there's probably a more technical term for it, but sometimes people who practice the dark arts can invade your dreams, right? And they can alter things in your dreams to make it seem like you're supposed to be doing this, or to distract you, or to detour you from where you're supposed to go. If the Most High is giving you a dream, and you're supposed to do something, some people could astral project into your dream to make it look like something else, right? So that's why when you have something given to you, or there's a vision or a dream or a thought, you want to ask the Most High to confirm it to you 3 times in 3 ways, because people interfere spiritually. So that's another thing. So you want them to be spiritually blinded. All right. Give me a second. So they can't really anticipate your next move. You don't want to give them information. Another part of that being in the dream state, a lot of times people don't realize that when people dream walk like that or astral project into your dreams, they can talk to your spirit man. And a lot of times when we wake up, we're not aware that we have been giving information. So you have to be aware of these things. You don't want them to talk to your spirit, because sometimes they'll pretend to be like a loved one or something familiar or comfortable to you, and your spirit will start saying things thinking, okay, I'm comfortable, I can talk, but you want to put an end to that. You want to be aware of that, okay? I know it sounds really strange what I'm talking about, but the people in the arts and the people who are not in the arts, spiritually based people, they know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so I also call for their camps or their homes or their covens or whatever institutions, secret societies, government, whatever it is. I call for confusion in their camp also, because that is a way for me to move in silence without them knowing exactly what's going on. And that's how I call for judgment for closer enemies, because at some point, this is usually attacks that are unprovoked. And until you learn how to fight back, you're just going to be attacked over and over again. That they're not going to stop. It's been my experience that they just don't stop until you learn how to fight back, right? They seem to think twice once you learn how to fight back. Once they realize that you're hip to the game and you know what's going on and you know how to fight back, they think twice before they screw with you. They may still do it because they're arrogant in a lot of times, but they'll think twice. All right. Another thing is in extreme cases, like if there is an enemy that tries to delete you. We talked about that in the beginning. If they try to delete you, it starts with an M. You know what I mean? Gone, right? A lot of my enemies try that. But in extreme cases, if an enemy tries to delete you, all right, I recite the proper psalms. So there are certain psalms to certain situations that are given, and you recite that. Now, be wise when you choose to do a psalm against someone. People in hoodoo and voodoo sometimes use those scriptures to cause curses on someone as well. These scriptures are very, very powerful. And if used correctly, it can cause confusion in the camp, harm, or even whatever in someone's house. So don't use this for little small enemies. Use these for enemies that are relentless, that are coming for your life, that type of thing. That's what I suggest. And before I use a Psalms on someone, I pray to the Most High and ask him, is it appropriate in this situation to do so? If he says yes, then I do it. If he says no, hold your horses, just pray something else, then I'll do that. Okay, so it is very important to be wise with the Psalms, okay? Now, if my enemy is relentless and I call, this is my last measure, even worse than the Psalms, in my opinion. If my enemy continues and they're relentless and they keep coming, especially coming for my life, what I'll do is I'll call on the holy warring angels. So there are angels in heaven. There are angels on earth. Each angel has a specific job that it is assigned to do. So we have warring angels that war for us, right? They fight in the spirit realm for us, all right? I'll call on them if it gets too bad, right? Like when the covens came for me, I called on the holy angels because I know for a fact if I call on them and I'm in good standing with the Most High, I follow the laws and commandments and I'm in good standing with them, the Most High and the Holy Spirit and Christ Yahushua and all those things, they will get the job done. They will make it so hard for your enemy to even function that they can't even think about spiritually attacking you. So that would be my last resort, because people think that demonic entities are horrible. But as you can see in the fact that we're in end times and judgment now, a lot of times they're thinking it's demonic entities, but a lot of times it's also these warring angels, these holy archangels, these holy angels that are here to go to war for the Most High and His people, causing these things. And you need to know the difference. And when they come after someone, it's usually swiftly in a very strong attack. So you need to be very sure before you call on them, if you're going to call them, right? Be very sure. And that's just it. That's just the way it is. So those are the three types of enemies of how I call judgment. And the reason why I do it nightly is because it's been my experience that people, dark agents and people who practice dark magic and who practice the dark arts, they are way more disciplined than us. They stick to it. Whatever their goal is trying to be, they stick to it. They will stay up all night because it says the wicked do not rest. Why aren't they resting? It's because they're being tormented by demonic entities that want to come against you. So if they don't do these actions, they're going to be tormented. So they are dedicated to doing that, right? To avoid being tormented. And because they don't want to be tormented, they will continue on with the work. They'll stay up all night. There are times when I know for a fact, and I can sense that someone's doing witchcraft on me, sleeping, that the Holy Spirit will wake me up and tell me to pray and to tell me to fight. And sometimes I will want to stop after an hour or two, but depending on how harmful or offensive the magic is, especially if it's death magic, I will have to stay up till 6 in the morning. I might get woken up at 1:30, 2 o'clock, sometimes 3 in the morning, and I would have to stay up until the next morning, until the sun comes up, because these people are so dedicated. They will do this all night in shifts. And they are more organized, more prepared, and more educated in the spirit realm and in demonic entities and things of that sort than we are. The churches and the pastors don't do a good job at teaching us how to fight against things, right? They tell us that this is evil, that's evil, that's fine, but how do I fight it? You see what I'm saying? That's what you need to know. And that is something that you should study regardless of what denomination you are, what you believe in, because no matter what religion you are, you may not believe in dark magic or witchcraft. You may not believe in demonic entities or angels. You don't believe in them, but I can tell you one thing, they believe in you. They believe in you. So just because you don't think just ignorance is bliss. Don't think just because you don't believe in something that it can affect you. I knew a person who literally thought that they were being attacked constantly by witches, and they were saying, well, it's not going to harm me because I don't believe in it. But constantly being set back, constantly, being put under spell work. Horrible spell work, right? But they felt like since they didn't believe in it, my thing to you is I don't care what you believe in. You may not believe in God, the devil, fallen angels, demonic entities, holy angels. You may not believe in none of that. I don't care what you believe in. Just know that it believes in you. Meaning that just because you don't believe in it doesn't mean it doesn't affect you. Because remember, everything goes down in the spirit realm before it comes down to the 3D. Okay? Remember that. The spirit realm is very, very real and very intense. You have to learn how to protect yourself. And this is one of the ways, one of the many ways that I protect myself. I cover my home. I cover everyone in my home. I cover the outside land around my home. I'm making sure that every part is covered. When it comes to prayer, you have to be specific. You can't just be general, like, hey, protect me, love you, Lord, good night. That's not going to work. So, if you are not familiar with spiritual warfare prayers, they have really good examples of that online. Um, I found some really good ones online, and those are some places that you can find them. If you want to look up the Psalms, you can find those too. But other than that, like I said, I'm not going to hold you guys too long today. I'm usually on here for about an hour, but today I'm a little tired in the middle of cleaning up, so I want to get finished. But just FYI, remember that Wednesday and Fridays are the $5 Oracle reading questions. That is a no tool reading. That is a no tool reading. I don't need tarot cards or anything like that. You may ask anything you want with any type of subject you would like. I do up to two, so it's $5. So if you do two, it's up to $10 per person. That's on Wednesdays and Fridays. You book that at healthypassiontiff@gmail.com. I do that to protect myself because I don't like to give my phone number out to people because people will call me at all times of the night. So it's via email. If you can't remember the email, you can inbox me on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, and we can go from there. This is a no tool reading. I don't do tarot cards. I don't need any type of tools to do the reading. But if you have a question about work, love, purpose, think anything along those lines, those are the basic things that people ask. I would say dig a little deeper. I am a natural healer, so if it has something to do with trauma or any type of even childhood trauma, things like that, that's what I specialize in. So I would dig a little deeper. The surface questions are fine if that's what you want to ask, but I would use the opportunity to work with someone like me to really dig in deep. If it's something that you feel is blocked, I will know and I can find it. So it's things like that. I deal with deep, deep trauma and healing of that trauma. So it is what it is. If you have any other questions about reaching out to me, you can always inbox me. And that is the end of the live today. So I don't want you guys to walk around being so naive and wet behind the ears to where you're like, oh, God is just love, John 16, and nothing's going to happen to you. You are going to be a punching bag to the dark kingdom. Because you're naive. It says the scriptures say to be wise to the wiles of the devil. You need to know techniques that the demonic kingdom uses against you. And you need to know how to fight them. You have to put on the whole armor of God and learn how to use them, if that makes sense. All right. I love you guys very much. I'm going to go ahead and get off. Have a great day. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Let's get you going.